What's up, guys? It's June 18th, Wednesday. FOMC happened today. Welcome back to our daily trade journal and market analysis at the end of the video. So, for today, we made about $521, but it wasn't a perfect day. There was a lot of up and down moves, and there was bigger losses than I wanted to take. Usually, when I hit these big losses, they usually happen because there is some type of big candle that just wicks really quickly to my stop loss, and that just kind of kicks my position out. So that kind of happened, but luckily we were able to climb back to the positive. But it was one of those days that, if I didn't trade, I wouldn't have minded. So let's take a look at the market signals. It was pretty interesting overall. Let me get rid of these Bollinger Bands. So for the market signals today, 4 out of 5 of the signals worked out pretty good. We have market structure flip bullish at 950, which is kind of around here when we broke over the MOB here, the yellow line. And you can see all these other lines crossing upwards. We went pretty bullish, pulled back a little bit. That was actually probably the ideal entry there, in hindsight, to go long more. But for me, I was actually short. I shorted the MOB here, looking for it to kind of go like this and go back down, right? But obviously, they wanted to take the market bullish at that earlier time frame in the morning. So it happened. They took it bullish, and then as we moved up, I was looking for it to come back to back test it here, so I can exit my short and go long this way. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. I ended up getting stopped out around 58 range, and then took a long from here to up here. So and then 1052, that's when we had another sell signal. So that was over here, this range here. So that's when we had our X1 sell signal. Ideally, you want to short from 60, 70-ish to, give or take 60, 70-ish range. Then you could take it down to 60, 63, 7 points. Or you could take it down to, over here. It went as low as 58 to 56. So pretty big move. That's a 14-point play there. Pretty good signal on that one. That worked out good. The bullish structure signal also worked out good because, as you can see, we went from bullish structure of 60.47 to as high as 60.70s. Huge move there. Then 12.10, we had a buy signal, and this one didn't work out actually. This, we thought it had a buy signal, which means it could potentially reverse up more. I thought it was gonna V shape. That didn't happen, obviously. So you gotta cut the loser short there. And then 12.11, right after that, we had a bearish market structure, and that worked out. Bearish market structure means you want to short the resistance, which you'll be here and here. Fortunately, I didn't play that X1 buy signal, so that worked out good. And then took the short. It went down, made money there. And then 140, we had a buy signal, which was around here in this range. So which was in this range here. That buy signal worked out pretty well. Went from 60.52 to as high as 60.72, 20 points there. So overall, pretty good day for the signal. That means to a certain extent, if you respect the process, it should work out pretty well for you. And then FOMC happened, and they talked about a lot of things. We went from potentially having 3 rate cuts this year to maybe 1 or 2 at this rate, and that's somewhat disappointing. Powell said a lot of things, and he said one of the reasons behind that is because inflation now is starting to resurge again, from this month as opposed to the data from last month. And there's also the whole trade situation back and forth, and import and export, and they have also estimated that GDP to be a little bit lower than previously forecasted. So we had a lot of changes. Last meeting, they went from, GDP being negative to back to positive, and now they went to positive. Now they're saying it's going to be a lower positive GDP. So it's like all over the place. The data is constantly changing, and they're constantly moving the ball. And now they're moving to only one rate cut this year, and we might even get zero rate cut. And I think if we do get that one rate cut, we're probably gonna get an emergency cut, which means we would need like some type of crazy crash to cause a some crazy situation in the market, and that is possible as well because we're seeing so much big things happening. As for tomorrow, where do we think the market is going to go? Let's take a look at the time frame. I think the same thing that I said yesterday. I think as long as we're holding above 60.15, we're pretty bullish. If we get under that, we can get bearish. So probably around this line here, right, the low of yesterday. So, so if we can go either here, like that way or that way. So I hope that kind of gives you guys an idea of how to drive the market, understand it. I guess to a certain extent, like as long as we're above that 60.15, we should remain bullish, which means you want to essentially buy the dips at all the major levels. But now the 10-minute moving averages are all over the place. They're all super funky because we haven't really moved anywhere between yesterday and today. And maybe tonight we'll come back test that 60.15 zone for a long. Other than that, there's no other great positions. The great plays are just from scalping the smaller areas. Um, Hope that was a eventful way. Feel free to subscribe, like if it makes sense for you guys, and thank you for watching.